What's poppin', guys? Back again with another video. It's your boy, Multiple Voice Guy. Yeah, apologize for that. Anyway, yeah, guys, I'm back. Yeah, I know. I keep saying this, but I'm sorry I haven't posted a lot. And I know I'm kind of slacking off on some stuff. Like, I still haven't released my Bugs Life review, and I still haven't even released part 2 of which Lantern Corps I think the Cobra Kai characters belong in. But guys, I'm just going to tell you this. I recorded those videos when I was going through phases. And of course, if I ever get back into that certain phase, I'll probably finish those videos or whatever. But basically, this is a phase I've kind of been into, and recently, I just saw the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and I have some pretty strong thoughts on it. So, guys, in this video today, I'm going to be re-ranking the Spider-Man films from worst to best. And I'm not going to lie, in recent years, my list has kind of shifted. Like, there's honestly a movie on here that has kind of gone lower on my list, and there's a movie on here that has actually got higher on my list. So, without further ado, guys, let's rank the Spider-Man films. Alright, coming up in number 10, last place, bottom of the barrel. The absolute worst movie out of all of these movies. It hasn't changed for me at all. It's still The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This film is just straight up garbage. The CGI sucks. The villains are garbage, and the death of Gwen Stacy just felt forced. Oh yeah, and I will try and say good things about all the films, even the ones I rank low. But basically, this is just a messy movie. First up, yeah, the villains are just, villains are trash. Like, seriously. Like, if you've seen the movie, do you honestly expect me to believe this pipsqueak is gonna be the Goblin? Yeah, get out of here. And also Jamie Foxx as Electro. At least in this film, good lord, the CGI for the Electro was just, god. Like, this was just a messy movie. And of course, that one guy as Rhino, he's always like, yeah, Spider-Man, ah! Like, what was that? Like, this is just a horrible movie. And of course, like I said, the death of Gwen Stacy felt forced. Like, I get it. I know they were referencing her death in the comics. There's even a little Easter egg that the claw changes to a certain time, which was also the page issue of the comic she died in. Which, nice little Easter egg, but still, just why? Like, this was just it felt extremely forced. And I just didn't like it. And the fact that they literally just threw in the Goblin just to have her death. Because, you know, for her death to be accurate, it would have to be the Green Goblin to be the one to kill her. So, yeah, it's just, good lord. Just, no. Good things about this movie. Well, of course, the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone is as strong as it was in the first film. Some of the action is good. You know, that is probably one of the positives you could say about a bad superhero film, the action. And another thing is, oh yeah, and also, I really liked the redesign for the Spider-Man suit. I think it was desperately needed. But other than that, this is just a horrible and just messy movie. So, yeah, that's basically where it lands for me. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Garbage film. Alright. Okay, coming up in number 9, a film that has dropped dramatically, and that is Spider-Man Far From Home. I can already hear all of y'all in the comments screaming right now. Hey, look, don't get me wrong. Okay, first off, I'm just gonna say this. this is a boring movie, okay? Like, seriously. Like, this film, I'm sorry, like, this film just bores the out of me. Like, where do I even begin with this film? First up, it literally just feels like another, like, this film literally just makes, Spider-Man feel like a whiny little sidekick to Tony Stark, even after he's dead. And, like, everybody's always asking, like, hey, you gonna be the new Iron Man? And no, he's not supposed to be the new Iron Man. He's supposed to be Spider-Man, his own hero. And then there's also the villain, Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, which I'm just gonna say this. Jake Gyllenhaal did a fantastic job. Like, that is one of the things I could praise this film for. Jake Gyllenhaal did a fantastic job as Mysterio. And of course, the action scenes were good. And of course, the action scenes were good. And of course, it was a pretty clever ending that Mysterio framed Peter Parker for killing him and also revealing that he was Spider-Man. That was pretty clever and also pretty hilarious because they brought back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. But outside of the action and Jake Gyllenhaal's performance as Mysterio, this film sucked. Like, this film was just so boring. This is arguably the most boring movie out of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. Like, it's just so bad. Like, I just didn't really care for it. Like, this film, I just did not like at all. It was boring. Again, the action was great, and of course, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio was pretty good, but even the motive for Jake Gyllenhaal is literally just the same as Vulture. And of course, I said it once, and I'll say it again. Can we just please, for once, have a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie where the villain is actually hooked to his character and not just another dude being screwed over by Tony Stark? Like, come on, guys. At this point, I'm starting to be convinced that Tony Stark is the real villain at this point. And maybe he deserved to die in Endgame. No, I'm playing. Rest in peace, Tony. But still, like Spider-Man Far From Home was just a boring movie, and I know this film has its fans, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But honestly, this is just a film that suffers story-wise, in my opinion. But, so yeah, that's Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, just not an interesting movie to me. Yeah, so that's Spider-Man Far From Home. Okay, let me just do some rearranging. Alright, guys, coming up at number 8, this is probably another film you'll shoot me for. It's the film I said that dropped on my list. Oh yeah, just for a record, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Far From Home now is the only two Spider-Man films I hate. The rest I just find okay or I really like. In which, coming up in number 8, a lot of y'all are going to shoot me for this. Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, look. Basically, to me, this kind of suffers from all the same problems that Spider-Man Far From Home does. But why it's ranked higher than Spider-Man Far From Home? Honestly, this is a film I'd rather watch than Spider-Man Far From Home. Like, this is more entertaining to me than Spider-Man Far From Home. Like, okay, first up, let me get something out of the way. Tom Holland as Spider-Man, of course, fantastic. And of course, even though it still does make him look like a whiny little psychic, I do actually like his father-son bond he has with Tony. And which really makes his death sad in Avengers Endgame when you see Tom Holland in there. Like I like that Tony Stark kind of became this version Spider-Man answer to Uncle Ben, in a way. And basically, and I think that was a really nice, and I thought that was really nice. I like the dynamic, they share a dynamic. I like the dynamic they share, but again, like, he's given this tech suit, and of course, everything, and of course, through the whole movie, and even in Spider-Man Far From Home, they just make him feel like a wimpy little sidekick to Iron Man. Even to Iron Man, which, no, Spider-Man is supposed to be his own hero. But honestly, what probably, brings this movie upper for me than Spider-Man Far From Home is that, again, this film is more entertaining to me. Like, I think entertainment value, this film has more of it, in my opinion. I like the action scenes, as always, and I like how when Tony takes the suit away from Peter, he has to kind of improvise with his own homemade Spider-Man suit to fight the Vulture. Oh yeah, did I even mention the Vulture in this movie? Oh yeah, the Vulture in this film is awesome. And to point out the fact that the Vulture is played by Michael Keaton, a.k.a. the same guy who played Batman in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, and of course Batman Returns. So he basically got to play a hero and a villain. And I'm not gonna lie, Michael Keaton's performance as the Vulture is just, it gives me chills. And is probably the closest thing to Spider-Man versus Batman we'll get, so deal with it. But of course, just like Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home, his motive is just another guy that got screwed over by Tony Stark. Yeah, now I'm starting to think Tony Stark is the real bad guy here. But yeah, it's basically, again, I want there to be a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie where the villain is actually hooked to his character instead of just another dude being screwed over by Tony Stark. But this is still an entertaining film. I like the friendship he shares with Ned. I think that's pretty hilarious. And again, the action scenes are pretty great. And also the ending where not Mary Jane, where the fact that Mary Jane is kind of revealed in this film, except in this universe she's called Michelle Jones instead of Mary Jane. But the ending where Aunt May catches Peter in his Spider-Man outfit. What the like, that was just extremely hilarious. But yeah, that's basically where Spider-Man Homecoming lands for me. I just find it okay now. It's not my top 5 anymore, but I know it's kind of dropped a huge rank down, but I still think it is a good movie. But honestly, it's kind of just like, but to me, it kind of suffers from all the same problems that Spider-Man Far From Home would, but entertainment value, I prefer this one more. So, yeah, that's basically where Spider-Man Homecoming lands for me. Alright, coming up in number 7. We have the new movie, which is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Okay, now, I actually really like this movie, but the reason why it's not high. First up, because, I'm not gonna lie, first up, I think I can officially crown this as the most hilarious Spider-Man movie. I like humor in my Spider-Man films, and this film definitely delivers. I'm not gonna lie, this film turned me into a straight giggle box. But basically, why it's ranked in, now it is a new movie, so obviously it's not gonna be in the top 5 right away. But basically, first up, good humor, great action as always, and of course it's a pretty good story to where Miles, oh yeah, and spoilers for y'all who haven't seen the movie. So if you want to just skip ahead in the video, you can. Or you could just click off, watch the film, and then come back. The choice is up to you. But basically, to where Miles ends up breaking the multiverse by saving someone. And so all the other Spider people are like, no, we have to suffer this loss. And so basically, Miles, you have to suffer your dad dying. But of course, Miles is like, oh, hey, no. And of course, he just keeps. And of course, he literally gets chased by all the Spider people, trying to fight them off. And of course, he ends up going into this alternate universe where Uncle Aaron is alive. And also to where Miles himself, becomes the Prowler. And of course, they have him tied up to a punching bag, kind of like how he tied up Peter B. Parker in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And all that stuff. And of course, we never know what he's gonna, and of course, they're fixing to do something, and then the music starts intensifying, and this is why this film drops. they include that to be continued protocol. Yes, they add the to be continued title card, which I'm not gonna lie, that kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this one guy in the theater was like, "Are you kidding me?" And honestly, I don't blame the guy. That was literally what was running through my head. It was starting to get good, and then they cut it. Then they cut that, and it's just so bad. And it's just, I like this movie. I was fixing to say I hate this movie. No, I don't hate this movie. I like this movie, but once they pulled that, it was just. But yeah, so it lands at number 7 for me for right now. When Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, and I re-rank these films, maybe my opinion on this film will soften. But other than that, that's basically where Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse lands for me. Not a bad movie. I like it, but that to be continued title card was just the biggest slap in the face. So, yeah, that's pretty much where it lands for me. Alright, coming up at number 6, a film I've honestly warmed up to in recent years. And that is The Amazing Spider-Man. I actually really like this movie. Now, I had my issues with it in the past, but in recent years, I've warmed up to it. There's still some stuff I don't like about it, though. So, I guess we can get those out of the... So, I guess we could get some of the positives out of the way. Give me a minute. I'm dropping my crap. Okay. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but when I first ranked the Spider-Man films, this was actually really lower on my list. But in recent years, I've warmed up to this film. There is still some things I hate about it, though, so we'll get those out of the way. First up, the design for the Spider suit is still bad. Seriously, come on, guys. Yellow eyes. Yellow eyes? What were you thinking? And also, the red and blue is just too dark. It's too dark, even for Spider-Man. And, of course, the second thing I really don't like this film about, I was going to say hate, but hate is necessarily a strong word. But basically, I really don't like the CGI for the lizard. The CGI for the lizard is still bad in my opinion. Honestly, they kind of improved it a little bit in Spider-Man No Way Home, but that's basically pretty much where it lands for me at this point. Seriously. But other than that, this is kind of a fun movie in my opinion. First up, as always, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have perfect chemistry. The fact that their chemistry was so good, they even started dating in real life. The action is awesome, as always. And of course, the lizard actually had a pretty good plan. And that was literally turn the whole world of New York into lizard people. Which I know that kind of sounds like the motivation for a villain from a Saturday morning cartoon. But I'm honestly there for it. What else? And of course, I used to not like this about The Amazing Spider-Man. But in recent years, I've kind of had a little bit more of an understanding to it, and that is, of course, the death of Uncle Ben. Since the death of Uncle Ben isn't really that sad in this film as it was in the Tobey Maguire film, because if we know the Spider-Man story, we already know Uncle Ben's gonna die, so it's not really that much of a shock, and we really can't feel that sad, because we know in order for Peter Parker to become Spider-Man fully, his Uncle Ben has to die. So, you really can't feel all that sad or shocked because you know what's going to happen. But still kudos to the movie for trying. It is honestly a film I've warmed up to in recent years. I don't hate it as much as I did back in the day. And I would honestly rather watch this film than the second Amazing Spider-Man. But yeah, it's honestly a film I've warmed up to in recent years. It still has its flaws, mainly in the character designs, but that's pretty much it, though. Like, I don't know what I was smoking to say this film was bad. I probably was just saying it's bad because I really hated The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But yeah, that's pretty much where it lands for me. Oh, and also, one more kind of negative I have to put out, but also the side of the negative. Andrew Garfield's performance as Peter Parker. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, but I hate Andrew Garfield's performance as Peter Parker. Now, don't get me wrong, he has an amazing Spider-Man. He can do Spider-Man. But Peter Parker, yeah, you need some work, buddy. Like, I get he's not always supposed to be nerdy and stuff, but oh no. But that's pretty much where it lands for me. But yeah, so that's pretty much where The Amazing Spider-Man lands for me. Yeah, honestly, a film I've warmed up to in recent years. Alright, coming up at number 5. This is probably the one that's going to get me in trouble for the hardcore Spider-Man fans. And that is, coming up at number 5, Spider-Man 3. Okay, look, again, like I've said, I do not know what you people have against Spider-Man 3. Yes, I know, they crammed in so many plot points at one time, but it's not bad. And honestly, I didn't actually expect it to rank this high, but there was no way I was going to give the 5 spot to Spider-Man Homecoming again. But to me, The Amazing... No, not The Amazing Spider-Man 3, even if only if they made Amazing Spider-Man 3. But look, Spider-Man 3 was not bad, okay? Like, yes, they crammed in so many plot points at one time, and they basically had that ridiculous dance, but to me, probably the main reason why I'm defending this film is nostalgia. Like, this was my favorite Spider-Man movie as a kid, but of course, as I've grown up and I've developed something called taste, it has kind of dropped a little bit, but I still don't hate it. Like, I actually have huge nostalgia for this movie. Probably the one, and the fact that this theme is about forgiveness, and the fact that Peter Parker finds out that it was Sandman was the one who killed Uncle Ben, but of course it was an accident. And of course he has to just try and learn how to forgive the Sandman for killing his Uncle Ben, and this is basically what this film is about, forgiveness. Even though, again, they try to cram in so many plots at one time. You know, we have Sam Raimi who wanted a Sandman movie, we have Sony who wanted a Venom movie, and so they just kind of crammed it all in, which was just a... Okay, you shut up. Okay, shut up. Shut the up. That was probably like the inner fans being like, bruh. No, it was actually just my tab. I downloaded a meme board. Anyway, but basically to me, this is basically where it just dropped. Where this is basically a film that has... I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. But I will agree with most people on this. I hate Topher Grace's performance as Venom in this movie. Yeah, Topher Grace, I will agree. Topher Grace was a horrible Venom. Tom Hardy, like, I prefer Tom Hardy's Venom over Topher Grace's, please. And, yeah. And, of course, Tom Hayden Church does do a good job as Sandman. Like, I will say this, if you try to watch it story-wise, it's not really that good. But if you want to see, like, action and maybe emo Peter, then this film basically has you covered. Like, I don't hate it. It's not a bad movie, in my opinion. But I won't disagree with anybody. But I will agree with everybody that is the weakest out of the trilogy. But I won't agree with Sam Raimi, who says it's awful. And honestly, due to everybody hating on Spider-Man 3, they never made him Spider-Man 4. And I'm actually really bummed, because I would have loved to see Spider-Man 4. But whatever, it is what it is. So yeah, that's basically where Spider-Man 3 lands for me. Yeah, not a bad movie in my opinion. I don't definitely hate it as much as you diehard Spider-Man fans do. But probably the main reason why I'm defending this film is because the little kid me will always have a soft spot in my heart for this. So that's pretty much where Spider-Man 3 lands for me. Like, I don't hate it as much as most people do. But, like, I agree with a few things about this movie. But that's basically where it lands for me. Alright, coming up at number 4, we have the original Spider-Man from 2002. Ah, yes, the film that started it all. First up, one word, nostalgia. And basically, this is the film, like this, I will honestly say, this is probably one of the best superhero films from the early 2000s. Like, Sam Raimi did a fantastic job. And also, first up, great casting. You know, Tobey Maguire does a fantastic job as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, in my opinion. And of course, I do like, and of course, we can't forget, Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. Like, Willem Dafoe just sold that part perfectly as the Green Goblin. Can Spider-Man come out to play? But yeah, this was a good movie in my opinion. Like, I honestly have a lot of nostalgia for it. And of course, the story, you know, where Peter Parker gets bitten by this radioactive spider. And, you know, and of course, this is honestly the film that does it good. Like, of course, we all know the Spider-Man story where Uncle Ben has to die. But honestly, in my opinion, they do it a little bit better in this film than they did in the Andrew Garfield movie. Because you actually feel sad, you know, because just the way they do it. Like, honestly, like, some people always say that Tobey Maguire's crying is overacting, but come on, guys. You don't know what it's like to lose a loved one. And I'm not going to lie, when Peter was watching his Uncle Ben die, I'm not going to lie, that scene made me cry as a kid. I'm not gonna lie, it could probably still get me to cry to this day, because it reminds me of some personal stuff that I'm not gonna get into. But basically, this was a good movie. Even though I'm not gonna lie, compared to today, the action scenes are a little cheesy. Same with some of the lines. Are you in or are you out? It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind. Like, yeah, but it's still an iconic movie that I have huge nostalgia for, and I will always love this movie. Like little kid in me will always love this first original classic movie. I cherish it forever. Yeah. Alright, guys, coming up in number 3, we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Short term, this is fan service done right. Even though how they kind of, like, you know, like, it's like cool to see the villains from Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come in to battle Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and the fact that at the third act, he teams up with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man to fight all these iconic villains. And I'm not gonna lie, when the trailer came out, I honestly just wanted to go back and rewatch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and even the Mark Webb Andrew Garfield films, even though one sucks. But it's still, well, the second movie of Andrew Garfield sucked. But okay, but we're getting sidetracked here. But yeah, even though I'm not gonna lie, how it kind of started, oh yeah, this film gets the bronze medal. How it kind of started was kind of stupid with with Peter, keep messing up the spell, you know, and caused like this big cut in the multiverse, which caused, you know, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and all these other iconic villains to come in. But it's honestly not bad. Like, the third act is just so good, you end up leaving the theater just forgetting how the first act went. And of course, this is where Tom Holland actually suffers a major loss besides just Tony Stark. You know, he loses Aunt May. And of course, this is where the iconic line, with great power must also come great responsibility, which is how Uncle Ben actually said it in the comics. So it's actually the first time Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man actually heard those words, and it wasn't from Uncle Ben, it was from Aunt May. And it's just so heartwarming, and when she dies, it just makes you feel so sad. Like, my aunt actually cried during the film. Like, I was like, are you okay? But yeah, that's basically Spider-Man 3 for me. No, not Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. It is a great movie. And of course, Willem Dafoe, even though he's in his 60s, he still is able to do his own stunts, and he still is able to sell the part of the Green Goblin. And of course, the fact that the Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man had to stop the Tom Holland version from killing the Green Goblin. Because, if you kill them, you're no better than they are. And so, that's pretty much basically where Spider-Man No Way Home lands for me. Short term, this is fan service done right. May I say more? Alright, coming up in number 2, getting the silver medal, we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Arguably a great and fantastic movie where basically, again, this is kind of also fan service done right. We have this new Spider-Man, Miles, who gets bitten by the spider from another dimension and ends up becoming Spider-Man. And of course, the Collider ends up sending multiple different spider people to the multiverse. Like, he meets Peter B. Parker, who is just another version of Peter Parker, except the difference is that he isn't dead. Or blonde. And to where it's great. And of course, the action is great. And of course, this does feel a little unfair since it is an animated film. Like, yeah, I'm going to say this. For an animated movie, this film is fantastic. For an animated film. Like, Kingpin actually had a pretty good motive. He was literally traveling the multiverse just to get his family back. He actually had a pretty good motive. A pretty solid motive. And of course, the fact that even the death of the original Spider-Man in this film, we actually feel his death in our hearts. And it just warms us up. And of course, when Miles finally learns how to use his powers, he ends up becoming the new Spider-Man. And it's just great. And of course, how they introduce all of the other Spider-Man with their own personal backstories. But arguably my favorite Spider-Man would have to be Spider-Man Noir, who is literally voiced by Nicolas Cage. Like, I just can't get over that. Like, it is just great. Like, yeah, Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse was a great movie. I absolutely love it. Like, every part of this film was just fun, in my opinion. In my opinion, this is also fan service done right. And of course, the fact that when we find out that Uncle Aaron is the Prowler. And of course, the fact that in the end, when he finds out that the Spider-Man that he's trying to kill is Miles, he literally sacrifices himself to save Miles. And really makes it pretty sad. Like, holy shit. But yeah, this is a pretty good movie in my opinion. Like, for an animated film, this is really good. And I actually remember when COVID-19 happened, they were replaying old movies, and one of those old movies was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And so my dad was like, hey, you want to see it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll watch it again. And of course, when I told him that it was an anime movie, he's like, oh, it's animated. And of course, I basically showed, and I basically ended up, and of course, we ended up watching it. And of course, he said that he really liked it. And of course, I really liked the look on his face when he found out that Prowler was his uncle. He was like, wait, that's his uncle. His uncle's the bad guy. And I was thinking in my head, okay, well, he's the henchman working for the bad guy. But yes, he is pretty much a bad guy. But yeah, this was a good movie. I liked it. I honestly didn't expect it to rank this high. Actually, yes, I did. Because I don't know if y'all remember last year's video. But yeah, that's basically Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Good movie. Good movie. Pretty good for an animated movie. Yeah. Alright, but coming up in number 1, my opinion has not changed. Has not changed at all. Number 1 for me is still Spider-Man 2. This is a fantastic movie, and it is honestly the best out of the Tobey Maguire trilogy. And it's honestly the best out of the Spider-Man movies, period, in my opinion. Like, it basically does what all the things the first film did, and it kind of expanded on it. Like, in my opinion, this is kind of like an improved version of the first movie. But, of course, I still like this movie and the first movie equally. Like, probably one of the major things it upgraded in my opinion, is action scenes. Like, the action scenes in this film are great. Like, nobody can forget that train fight. Or the final fight with the whole sun. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Oh yeah, and the fact that Alfred Molina did a fantastic job as Doc Ock. Like, Alfred Molina did a fantastic job as Doc Ock. Like, I really like it. Like, it was really good. Like, Alfred Molina was pretty good as Doc Ock. Like, I'll give him that. And also, another thing about this is that... Oh, what's another thing about this movie? What's another thing I like? Like, and the fact that basically, and of course, even the story to where Peter's literally suffering from a midlife crisis. And the fact that it's so much that he's even losing his powers. And it just shows him how stressful being a superhero is. You know, he has bills he has to pay, trying to be there for Mary Jane. And on top of that, trying to be Spider-Man. And where he just couldn't handle it to where he ends up losing his powers. But of course, in the final act, he ends up getting his powers back. And of course, is able to fight Doc Ock. And of course, the fact that he basically like, yeah, Mary Jane, this is who I am. This is why we can't be together, because I'm Spider-Man and all that stuff. But of course, the fact that in the end, Mary Jane's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't care if there's going to be risks. I want to face them with you and all that stuff. And we led to the events of Spider-Man 3. Honestly, a fantastic movie. I absolutely love it. It is the best out of the Tobey Maguire trilogy. And it is obviously the best out of the Spider-Man films, period. And that is why it's in my number 1. So, guys, that is my re-ranking of the Spider-Man films. So tell me, do you agree with my list? Or... like, are there some takes you agree with, some takes you don't agree with? Let me know in the comments, because I definitely know there are going to be a few comments, and there's going to be a few people probably raging in the comments because of my choices. But guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please help me reach 50 subscribers. And guys, be sure to leave me your own personal list down below, but please don't be a jerk about it. Like, these are just my opinions, so please don't hate on me if you have others. Like, we're going to disagree, but that's the fun part about it. Like, I do hope and expect your list to be different from mine. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.